get to yesterday's first before the polls, that big decision out of Colorado, an historic decision to boot former President Trump from the primary ballot. And of course, we're hearing many other states trying to follow suit.
Yeah, let's save democracy by taking a vote out of the hands of millions of people in Colorado.
Great idea, right?
Let's eviscerate the rule of law in this country with no due process in a case. The 14th Amendment, Section 3, doesn't even specify a president as being subjected to it. The man's never been charged, let alone convicted of insurrection. All of those merits and really the demerits of the case are besides the point. The point is that there is a lawfare assault against Donald Trump. That assault is going to transcend, though, just this election. What these prosecutors are doing in tandem with partisan, frankly, radical jurists in many cases is to torture and twist and bend the law to try and hang it around the neck of Donald Trump, and in the process run roughshod over the entire rule of law in this country, the Republican system, because we're a republic, not a democracy. And at the end of the day, no matter what happens, first, there's going to be substantial pressure on the Supreme Court, because this is going to be the first of several cases that end up there. We already have this presidential immunity issue going there. We might have the gag order issue. And then ultimately, if there's ever a conviction, that's going to end up there as well. They're going to try to run roughshod over the Supreme Court as well. So this is actually a constitutional crisis that far transcends just Donald Trump in the 2024 election.
I think it could be a crisis. I think that the Supreme Court really needs to do something quick. They need to get this. They need to make a decision and stop really what is lawfare. But I don't think that's going to happen. That was a good term there, Ben. Doug, lawfare. I think it's just starting. I think we are just starting to see the insanity that will be over the next year leading up to 2024.
Well, it is. And in some ways, this is what they wanted. Okay, let's think about this. This is what they waited for a long time to bring these cases. They had plenty of time to bring the cases that we all could have seen could have been brought a year or two earlier. We could have been in this, but they waited till this time, and knowing now that they have to sort of speed up the clock. Here's the one. I would love to see the Supreme Court take out the Colorado case pretty quickly. That needs to happen.
Right.
The other case, the one that was just mentioned about the immunity issue and the others going for, where Jack Smith is trying to have a speedy trial, which, by the way, the Constitution doesn't apply for the prosecution to have a speedy trial. It does for the defense, but not the prosecution. And he's trying to up and jump over an appellate court procedure straight to the Supreme Court. So these are all kinds of cases. That one needs to slow down. The Supreme Court needs to take their time on that one, stay the entire process, and actually look at it, because as Trump put in his brief that they filed back, his lawyers did, this has not even been decided by an appellate court yet. You're asking the Supreme Court, which typically reviews appellate court decision, to not even have that chance. And so I think it's going to be interesting as we go forward.
It's interesting, and you're having judges who are appointed rather than elected make decisions for the American people. And again, Ben, that's back to your point. This is a larger constitutional crisis. And I do want to share this. After the news came out, Mr. Trump did take to Truth Social to defend himself, as he tends to do. Here's what he said. "I am not an insurrectionist, quote, crooked Joe Biden is. Do you think this decision in the Centennial State will have similar outcomes in other states?" Ben, again, we see a lot of states trying, but this to me seems like a way to simply, I was going to say, kind of muck up the system. And I'm wondering, do you think Americans, do you think voters, no matter what party they're in, are going to get tired of this tit for tat, this infighting?
I think they will, although I think there's a substantial contingency of Republicans who are going to say you have to have tit for tat or this never stops. And they will go even more aggressive and more brazen going forward. In terms of this case attempts being rushed to the Supreme Court, this actually is going to work against Democrats, I think, because it's going to neutralize all those other cases. And let's be clear, there have been other attempts to take off the ballot, not just presidential candidates, but even members of the House, for example. They've all failed. So if the Supreme Court knocks this down, which they should, I think it neutralizes all of them and takes them off the table. Let's also just note, they're trying to rush this question of the presidential immunity issues to the Supreme Court. This despite the fact that Jack Smith can't give a reason why it has to go to the Supreme Court. Why? Because he needs to secure a conviction before the 2024 presidential election. It is nakedly political.
I think we're beyond tit for tat, everybody. I think we've already entered the world of tit for tat.